Hi, welcome to Posca Club. In today's video we're going to draw something that I've wanted to draw for a long time, and that is a slab of raw meat. But because we're drawing the Don't Hug Me I'm Scared characters, we're going to draw steak from that series. So let me show you what colours I'm going to use. It's going to be coal pink, red and ruby red. They're going to be the main colours of the raw steak. Obviously I've got a bit of white in here as well because we're drawing on cardboard today. Brown is going to be for the little bit of hair that this character has. Grey is just to add a little bit of shade across the bone coming out the top of the head and around the eyes as well. And then black, of course, for outlining. So that's all you're going to need. They're the only colours you're going to need. If you haven't got all of those colours, don't worry, you can go with something completely different. It doesn't even matter if you go for like greens and stuff like that. As long as you're drawing, just go for it. So what I'm going to do in today's session is I'm going to go straight in with a black pen. Now usually I'd go in with a colour pen first, but because we're going to be drawing around the eyes, I don't really want to show. In fact, no, should I do white? Yeah, let's do white. This is always dangerous, you know. There's a plan for these sessions. It's always dangerous when I change the plan live while I'm recording. But yeah, let's go straight in with white instead, just so that you can see it. If you want to do this bit in pencil, you can do this bit in pencil, but I like going straight in with a pen because it just keeps you moving along a lot quicker. Okay, are you ready for this then? So first thing we're going to do is going to put in an eye. I'm going to put in the eye, I'm going to put in the main steak shape, then I'm going to put in the other eye so you can see where everything's going to fit. Leave a little bit of space at the bottom for the legs, leave a little bit of space at the top for a hat, but let's go with this kind of shape. So let's go for an eye about there. See how it's not too big? Not too big at all. And then coming out of that eye, this is where we're going to do the steak shape. So the steak shape's going to be like that. It's going to go round all the way to the top again, and then just tuck in on top of the eye as if it was joining on to the line underneath. We got that? That was easy, wasn't it? Let's go and put the other eye in. So let's go right over this side, a little bit lower down, for a similar shaped circle. We've got that. Let's make it now look a little bit more 3D. So what we're going to do is just going to take a little line out here and a little line out here. Both the same length, both pointing in the same direction. And then we're going to join those two together using that curve that we've got there. Let's join those two together. So it should be fairly thin there, but as you get out to the side it's going a little bit fatter, and then fairly thin again when you get up to the top. Couple more lines, then we'll start colouring in. Let's go and put in, so the arms and legs are going to be dead easy. We're going to simplify those quite a lot based on so they're not going to be very similar to the original character. This is fan art, we can get away with whatever we want. Arms and legs can be dead easy, so we'll leave them right until the very end. But what we're going to do now is just quickly throw in a hat. So this hat is just going to be a bone sticking out the top. So what we're going to do is just going to go for two little lines like that, coming out the top. And then we'll join those two together with like a double bounce. So we've got to go all the way around to there, all the way around to there. Have you got all that in? Okay. Awesome stuff. Let's go and add, so let's go and thicken out some of these white lines. So the thing with this is it's all going to be loads and loads of reds in there, but I just want to thicken out these white lines, these little sections first. So first thing we'll do is let's just go and thicken out all of this bit. So we're just going to give it a once over. I'm not too worried about it being a neat line. I want to make it look quite natural, so if it's thick in some areas, thin in some areas, that's fine. So let's do that first. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to put in a line that goes all the way across the bottom. Now fairly low down because we're going to stick the little mouth sits in about there. So a little bit lower down just here. Let's put in a shape like this, a little kind of wavy shape. Let's thicken that out as well. Let's do one more of those. This time we're going from top to bottom. I'm going to go in between the eyes. So let's go like this. Thicken it out as well. Looking good. We're nearly there. One more line on the side here. On this side bit here, let's just have a little line that kind of goes up like that. That should do. Now there are our main lines. What we're going to do now is we're going to smooth off all of those. So you see where we've got these sharp points everywhere? Let's go in and smooth all of those off. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see exactly what I'm doing here. Yeah, let's start at the top. Just rounding those bits off like that. Same on this side. Okay, let's move down a bit. Just rounding off all of those. Already it's starting to look a little bit more like it could be a slab of meat. Okay, now one other thing that we're going to do in this white pen before we start adding some colour on is around about here, in between the eyes, obviously. In between the eyes is where the nose is going to live, but the nose we're going to draw on later with a red pen. So all we're going to do now is just thicken out this bit here, this white line here, just thicken it out. So we've got space to put a nose in there, okay? And the nose is just going to be like almost like a teardrop kind of shape. Awesome, right, that's it. That's white line sorted. How are you getting on? Should we go and put some colour in next? So we're going to have 3 reds in here. Ruby red, red and coral pink. So I'm going to start with those so that they've got the maximum amount of time to dry before we go over with them again. Okay, so if you're like me, if you're using the reds, then you want to take the darkest red. If you're using any of the colours, whatever 3 colours you've got, go and use the darkest colour first. And let's go and just add in a few little shapes. So for example, and we don't have to, you don't have to have too much finesse with these at all. Let's just go throw them in and see how it works. Let's start with a bit here, look. So down here, what we're imagining is the meat. Now we're drawing the meat bits in, and we're just naturally going to get some shadow areas. Around the edges of the meat. So let's just go and put in a few little lines around the edges like that. Let's do a little bit up here as well. Like I say, don't think about it too much, just go and just throw some lines in. Kind of going where I'd expect the shadows to be as well, to a certain extent. Down at the bottom here, let's do a big one down at the bottom here. So on the front facing, we're going to see quite a lot of red, quite a lot of coral pink. On the side facing though, it's mainly going to be the ruby red and the red. The main reason for that is just so that it looks a little bit more like it's a side-on view. So we're going to stick all the shadows in here, so let's go and do this bit. See how we're kind of making a lot of that white line disappear at the top there? And do the same here as well. Going over that white line. This is why I don't mind doing my guidelines in Posca, because you know eventually they'll all disappear under another colour. How's that looking? Not too bad. These little bits, see a couple of little bits of white still poking through. Don't worry about those. Don't have to copy those bits exactly, that's fine. Okay, let's leave that to dry. Let's go and work on some light grey next. So all we're going to do is put in, give the eyes and the bone coming out the top of the head, give that a little bit more shape by putting in some little grey sections. So for example, up here on the bone, let's just go up and then around this bit. Again, make the white line disappear. But this is where I'd expect to see the shadow all the way around this side. Similar kind of thing with the eye, just the bottom right, look. So you kind of want to draw like a crescent moon shape. In there. Let's do the same for this one. Really subtle. You don't have to use grey for this. You could use like a yellow and a white. Always looks good in an eye. Even a pale blue if you've got a real pale blue. Okay, you got that. Let's move back into the meat. So we're going to go the next colour up. So remember we had ruby, red and coral pink. This time we've used the ruby, so let's park that. We're going to use the coral pink later. Let's park that. So we're going for the mid-tone, the red. Let's go and give that a go. And essentially we're going to colour in the rest of the meat with this red. We'll put the pink on top of that a little bit later. Now, what we're going to do with this time is, you see these fat ends that we've got here and here and here, all over the place. We're just going to cut those out a little bit. So as we come down there, just chopping that out like that. Nicely round there, round the top, chopping it out. So we're getting these real sharp, interesting lines now. Let's colour that bit in. Let's get in there. Let's go do the other section. Just following that white line, just chopping out the edges of this deep red, this ruby red. Around the eyeball. Try not to do what I just did there, which is priming your pen on the canvas. It's always a little bit risky. One day it will catch you out and it will just chuck up a load of paint on your artwork. So always have a scrap bit of cardboard handy for that kind of stuff. But yeah, remember to keep your nib wet. It's not just about shaking your pen. This is what I see loads of people doing. They're just shaking their pen. And the pen's running out and they just shake it. You can't do that. You've got to prime it as well. You've got to press the nib into the barrel. Shaking it is just mixing up the paint again. Pressing the nib in the barrel is what gets the nib wet again, which is what gets all that new fresh paint. Awesome, we're looking there. We will come back to these colours a little bit later on and add some extra little shapes in there. But that's good for the time being. Let's just stick with that red and go and throw in a little nose. Remember I said it was like a little teardrop shape? There's our little nose. Let's go back to our white pen next. We'll start off at the bone at the top because I want to give that plenty of time to dry, because we are going to throw in a little bit of hair. This character's got some hair. So let's go and colour in the rest of that bone. Going around that shadow. That's looking good. In fact, what I'm going to probably do just there is I'm going to change this. Look, watch this. Just curve that down like that. I'm just going to change the shape of that shadow a little bit. That's a good thing with Posca pens. If something doesn't look quite right, you can just go and quickly change it. Nobody will know. Let's go around the eyes next. So we're just slicing out these shadows. Cutting the edges out of the shadows, getting real nice and close up. Fab, it's looking like a piece of meat. Okay, that's your halfway point, that is. So that's stage 1 and stage 2 done. So stage 1 is guidelines, which we did with the white pen. Stage 2 is colouring in, just chucking the colour on, not thinking too much about it, just chucking the colour in the right places. Stage 3 is outlining, stage 4 is finishing touches. So we'll go and work on those next, shall we? So what we're going to do is we're just going to outline a couple of areas just while we're waiting for this bone to dry properly up there. We are going to put a bit more colour on there. We are also going to bring this coral pink into the meat, but again we'll do that in the finishing stages, or the finishing touches part, okay? So let's just go and grab your black pen. I'm using a PC3M because you can see the size of this artwork. It's about the size of my hand, just a little bit smaller than an A4 sheet of paper. PC3M, I'm going to double line everything I do on this. So when I say double line it, I mean go around it once. Let's do this eyeball up and go around it again. Double lining is not about making the line twice as thick, it's about making it twice as wonky. That looks nice and wonky for me now. Let's do the same for the other eye. Just got to remember to go around the shadow. Don't get caught up in just going around the white bit, go around the shadow as well. Go around once, go around twice. Nice and wonky, got some fat bits in there, some thin bits in there. That's exactly what we want. Let's do the nose next. Nose done. Now the flow of a 3M pen is usually a little bit slower than you want it to be, so you're going to have to draw slow. When I say the flow is slow, I mean the rate at which the paint comes out the nib is a little bit slower than you'd really want it to be. So yeah, draw slow, make sure you keep a wet nib all the time. Okay, let's start going round the rest of this character now. Now what we're going to do is we're going to, remember we had like the front facing over here, we had the side facing over here. So as we do this first outline, we're going to go around the whole thing. As we do the second outline, what we're going to do is just going to flick a little line in here to separate the front from the side, okay? So let's go and do the whole outline first. Double line it, any bits that you've missed. That's why we double line stuff, because it helps you get a little bit more accurate. Going to go around the top bit, even though we're going to put some hair across the top there, it doesn't really matter too much. Bring it down the side. Again, double lining so that we go over all those bits that we missed. You don't have to worry about being too accurate if you use this double lining technique. It's all about just getting a line on, and then second time round working on that accuracy. That looks good. Okay, we're going to flick a little line in here now, so just to separate the side. So just here, look, this line is going to come down to about there, and then either flick it off, try and get a thin tapered end, or just do some dots and dashes, things like that, to try and get a thinner edge to your line. Same under here, look, all the way across, get to about that point, flick the pen, or dots and dashes. Just going to do a little bit more in here, look. Just flicking the pen, dots and dashes in there. Shall I get a little bit closer in there so you can see how those lines are looking? So flicking the pen is all about, you know, holding it right upright and flicking the pen across, so you get a nice subtle thin tapered line at the end. Sometimes that's difficult to do. Not everybody's got that in their locker, so if you are struggling with that, just put these little kind of random dots and dashes. Keep them nice and scruffy as well. It just makes it look like there's a bit of a crease in there without putting a full-on solid black line in there. Right, that's looking good. I'm gonna let the top dry. I'll come back to the top in a little while to put the hair in. Let's stay down here though. What we're going to do next is let's put some pupils in. I'm going to give this character crazy eyes. You can choose whether you want to put reflections in there. I always like a little reflection. Like that. Now's a good time to go and add that. I think we've done as much outlining as we can. Let's go and put a bit more colour on. So now's a good time to put that coral pink on. So all we're going to do with the coral pink is, in these big sections of red that we've got all over the place, just go and put in some coral pink blobs in there. So just there, look. And then maybe one just here. Again, don't think about it too much, just go and throw these shapes in. Try and keep them quite smooth. There we go, one under the eye as well. We'll see a little bit down here, shall we do? Yeah, that looks good. Love how this is starting to look. I really like that. We're going to do the same on the side. So remember we did this ruby red bit on the side. Let's go and do just a regular red bit on the side as well, like this. Just some little shapes in there. Okay, this is working. We'll wait for that to dry. We're going to put some mouth, eyebrows, arms and legs in there in a second. Wait for that to dry, but let's just go work upstairs on the hair and that little bone sticking out as well. So I've got a brown pen, and we're just going to draw straight over the top of it with this brown pen. So let's go and give this character a fringe. So a couple of bouncy lines out the front for a fringe, and then just bring that round the back as well. Just keep bouncing it around the back there. Maybe do a few under here as well. That's looking good. Might need to give that a second coat. You can see a little bit of the black line still popping through there. That's fine. You can give it a second coat if you want. As soon as you put the black line on around the outside of the hair though, that black line on the inside that you can just see a little bit of will go even further into the background, so you'll see it even less. Okay, while we're waiting for that to dry, let's go back down into the mouth of this character. We're going to give it just, should we give it just a simple mouth? We'll give it an authentic simple mouth. Obviously it's fan art, you can do whatever you want to it, you don't have to follow the rules. But yeah, we're going to give it a little simple mouth in there, which was just in this section, just a little curve like that, and then a little V underneath. For the eyebrows, let's just go in and put in some fairly fat curves just above both eyes. Beautiful stuff. We're getting there. Giving that hair a little bit more time to dry, let's go and put in some arms and legs. So again, with the arms and legs, I'm just going to use fat black lines for these. So let's go and put one arm over here. Look, let's go from there to there. Let's put another arm over here. So this one's going to go from here. We're going to go outside the body. So we've kind of got like the arm at the top, forearm, and then the hand just there. Nice and simple lines. It's going to do the legs as well. Let's have one coming out just there. The other one coming out just there. Similar kind of fatness to everything else we've done. Do you want to give it some feet? You can give it some feet. Okay, let's go back up top. Nearly finished now. Nearly finished. Let's get back up top and outline the hair and the bone. So see how we've got this, just outlining this hair as it is, flicking in every now and then. Just double line it all still. Around that bone. Double line that. How's it looking? Looking really good. So let's stick with that black pen. Let's go and throw on a little power line. In fact, I might just go up a pen size. Might use a 5M for this. I'm going to give it a bit of a power line. So you just want the whole outside edge of this character. Apart from the arms. The arms are good. I'm just going to go a little bit thicker with everything on the outside. So ignore the eyebrows as well. All this is doing is just putting more focus on the actual character. There you go. So you can see what this side looks like with the power line compared to this side. For me, this side with the power line looks a lot better. So I'm going to carry it on. I'd always thought, I'd always given my characters quite thick outlines, but it was when I was doing a workshop with Nick Shove, and he referenced it as a power line. I thought, actually, that's a really good bit of terminology for what we've just done there. Fab, right, a few more bits then. Let's go and have a little bit more fun. So this is like finishing touches kind of area now. We're going to take those original reds, we're going to go back into all of this skin, just add a bit more texture, a bit more shape. See if we can find a relatively thin and working white pen that we can go and put in some extra little bits of fat in our character. Let's see, I must have one in here somewhere. That one could be the one. Okay, you ready? Might have to warm up a white pen later. So yeah, back in with those original colours. Let's just go and have a bit of fun. So things like this, let's just chop these bits off, look. See if that works for you. Maybe just put in a few little ruby spots in. Go and grab your red. Let's do the same with the red. Let's put some little red spots in, look. Finish off with the coral pink. A few little coral pink spots in there. Not something you have to think about too much. If it doesn't look right, just stop doing it and try something else. This bit down here just looks a little bit too ruby, so I'm going to put a little bit of red on there. That looks nicer. Maybe take that white pen, sharpen up some of these edges a little bit more if you want to, if you need to. Stick with that white pen. What about some little white reflections? In there as well, look. Make it look really meaty. You can put these white reflections anywhere. The original plan was to have some little tiny white bits. See if I can draw some little tiny white bits. Like that. Little kind of capital Y shapes. There's little veins coming off there. I've done that with a 5M. If you've got a 1M or a 3M, it might be better to try and do it with those. Just going to put those reflections, make them a little bit bigger. And the eyes. It's looking good. Right, let's give it another line then around the outside with the white pen to finish off this character. Doing this with the 5M white, the fat white pen. Give it a real fat border. This time we are going around the arms. and the legs. Take your time on this bit. I'm rushing through this bit, but take your time. This is the final piece, the final thing that you want to do on your artwork. It's the one thing you want to get just right as well. Nice and smooth around the edge. Anything that kind of happens inside your artwork, you can always fix. You wait for it to dry, you fix it. But this outside edge, if you make a mistake on this outside bit, on this raw edge, then it's more difficult to cover up. It's not impossible, just a bit more difficult. So as much as possible, just take your time on this bit, get it looking just right. Don't forget, with a lot of these you can go back over with the black again, so you know, get into all the nooks and crannies as much as you can with the white, knowing that we can bring that black line back to the front if we need to. We're going to wait for that to dry. Whilst we're waiting for that to dry, let's just put some flies in. Flies, a little bit of white in the wings. Black is, well, the white line that we did is now dry, so let's just quickly zoom into that. I'm just going to tidy up a few little bits. Look, starting at the top, sharpen these edges out if you need to, if you want to. Bring it down here now. Main bit I want to show you is that bit under the arm. See, this bit under the arm went all over the place with that one, but look, just take that, bring that arm back. Nice and easy. Right, let's just tidy up there. That looks a bit messy. I think we are just about done. So I hope you had a bit of fun with that one, drawing a little slab of meat. I know I did. Click signature. I have to draw this one a few more times. It's been a lot of fun. And there you go. Yeah, if you post it online, don't forget to hashtag doodle with the Korp or tag me in it so that I can find it. But yeah, I'll see you in the next video.